Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm actually on a very small break. I'm taking my psycho biology class in my PhD program, and it's 4.5 hours long, y'all. So I'm trying to make it through it. It's hard. So we have a 15-minute break, and I figure I'll come to you guys or briefly to talk to you guys about a conversation I had today. Interesting conversation I had today. And by the way, like I don't feel up to par because I didn't get that much sleep last night. Like I actually made a video late last night, about Dr. Umar Johnson and his father's opposing views. And I posted it, I posted it around, I guess, 10 o'clock last night. And then immediately, I got a comment on the video from his father about, what I posted. And it took me by surprise, by the way. It just took me by surprise, that he had commented on my video. And I responded to his comment, because it sounded like he was basically questioning my support of Dr. Umar Johnson, like saying, what has the knowledge that Dr. Umar Johnson shared, what has it contributed to the Black community? Basically, how has it manifested itself, in the Black community? And there are many different ways to look at this topic, Of course, I value education. Education means a lot to me. And, I consider Dr. Umar Johnson a scholar. So when he does his lectures, I feel like that is making a difference. But from, our chat last night, we were kind of going back and forth in the YouTube comment section on my video. I woke up this morning and saw his comment. He, I guess, felt that he was being misunderstood, right? And that's the biggest thing, nowadays. Like, people don't want to, no one wants to be misunderstood. Even myself, I hate when people misunderstand me or they assume. So he kind of alluded to the idea that, he felt misunderstood, or that I was assuming things. So I said, you know what? I think it's better that we just kind of talk about this issue face to face. We can kind of work through this problem because I'm all about peace. I am not interested in fighting and debating, amongst the Black community. Like, it's pointless, for me anyway. And so I say, we can talk about it. I'm very interested in, talking about it. And here's my contact info. And so I gave him my email address, and then he immediately sent me his phone number. And I texted him, and then he replied back and asked, could I speak? Was I available to speak? And this was this morning, you guys. So we actually started talking about 10:30 this morning. And I was just shocked. Like, I'm still kind of in shock, y'all. So this might be a two-part video, because I was really in shock, from I was initially in shock just from the whole point of him commenting on my post. Like, I didn't expect him to comment, and then especially to say what he said, because I kind of took it as he was basically defending the trolls, that Dr. Umar Johnson has, right? But I'm so glad and so thankful that I had a conversation with him. By the way, I think our conversation started like at 10:30 this morning, and we didn't get off the phone till like 1:30 in the afternoon. So we chatted for like a good 3 hours, but it was a really, really, really good talk. Like, it started off kind of rough. I'm not going to go into detail about exactly what we talked about. I'm just going to kind of give you guys my reaction to some of the things that he brought up, which I think is really important to the conscious community, to the Black community, to the African American community, however you want to identify yourself, to our struggle, basically. I think he pointed out some really, really interesting points, and I'm glad that I took the time to humble myself and to listen to someone with an opposing viewpoint. Because previously, y'all know, like, when people have commented on my posts and I feel like they're trolling, because they just like, oh, what has Dr. Umar Johnson done? Kind of alluding to the fact that he hasn't done anything, which I take offense to that, because I see the work that he is doing, he's trying to do. And just because he hasn't done anything, like, I guess you could say, that is tangible, that you can touch. Like, people are looking for a building that people can actually walk into and convene in and get help in. And they're like, where is the school? That is a whole issue here. And I'm trying to, like, basically say that there are different ways you can impact the Black African American community, and educating the Black community is a good start. It's a great start. I think he's waking up a lot of people's consciousness. That's of course my defense, right? So we talk. He called me, answered the phone this morning, and like I said, it started off kind of rough, because he asked how I was doing. I told him I was doing good. And then I asked how he was doing, and he was like, not so good. And I was like, what's up? It's like, I'm upset. And I was like, yeah. So he went into talking about basically why he was upset and that he got offended by what I said in the video. And I think some of the things he kind of misinterpreted what I said, because I think when you have all these social comments on social media, right? Like, everybody is saying this. Some people saying this. It's like everything starts to mesh together. So it sounds like everybody is saying the same thing. So, for example, if I get a whole bunch of comments from perceivably trolls on my post, and then he says something that is similar to what a troll has commented, I automatically put him in that category as, a troll. That's just something that automatically happens in the brain. It's interesting. I'm taking my bio basis class now of psychology, because that is a significant factor in trying to understand, like, what is going on and how we kind of react to situations. But I even said in the video that I made and that I posted last night that I wanted to be careful about his comment, because I think his comment was different. That's the only reason why I responded, because I don't really respond to comments on YouTube. That's kind of interesting. I don't. I read them sometimes, but I don't really respond. And I actually responded to his because, number one, he's Dr. Umar Johnson's father. I have much respect for him because of that. Because he's Dr. Umar Johnson's father. It's like, how can you not? So I wanted to hear what he had to say, and I wanted to see his perspective. I wanted to basically go beyond our difference of opinion, because he apparently sees the issue one way and I see it a totally different way. And it's kind of surprising because I never met Dr. Umar Johnson, and that's his father. That's Dr. Umar Johnson is Mr. Jamal Johnson's son, So when he basically confronted me on what I posted and said that he didn't like my reference to the word coon, I didn't call him a coon though, but I did say that, if a Black person is acting like a coon, then the name applies. And he, brought that out, and he put me up on game and educated me about the meaning of the word coon, saying it originated in slavery. He was like, do you know where that word came from? And I was like, yeah, we know where these words come from. We know where all of this shit come from, right? And I was listening to him. Initially, like I said, I came off a little bit defensive because I was trying to explain my side and he was trying to explain his side. So we both basically were trying to explain our opposing views at the same time. I was trying to basically defend Dr. Umar Johnson. He was trying to explain why he has an issue with some of Dr. Umar Johnson's views. So it's not that he has an issue with Dr. Umar Johnson per se, because that's his son, and he expressed that he loves him, but he has an issue with some of the views, which he openly talks about on his channel. If you guys look at his channel on YouTube, it's under his name, Jamal Johnson, and is next to his name, he has Dr. Umar Johnson's dad. So that's how you can identify his channel. But he talks openly about his views and how they relate to Dr. Umar Johnson's views. So, of course, I'm trying to state my point. He's trying to state his point initially, and then he was like, I'm not going to talk over you, and we can't keep talking over each other. So you're going to listen to me, or you basically, this conversation is going to work. And I say, I'm listening. It's funny because you know how you really feel passionate about something. You just want to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard. But it's like, who is willing to take the time to just sit there and listen? Listening is a skill. That's something that therapists obviously are trained to do. Psychologists, we're trained to do that. But it's really a skill. It's more than just hearing. But you really have to activate your attention to the person and what they are saying in a way that you are not trying to respond quickly. You know, you're not listening to respond, but you're listening to understand the person. So it did take a while. I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna be real with y'all. It did take a while. Thanks, Divine. It took a while for me to kind of really get what he was saying. I'm like, okay, let me breathe. Then y'all say breathe, breathe, and just listen. Even though I may not agree with what he's saying, listen to this man, because my mom raised me like, you have respect for your elders and authority. You don't disrespect them, and they have the upper hand at the end of the day. It don't matter who's right or who's wrong. It's about authority and knowing your place and your position and respecting authority. So I just took a humble position and I shut my mouth and I listened, and I realized that when I had expressed the fact that, you know what, you're right, I don't know your son. That's your son. You know him more than I do, better than I do. So I think what you're saying does hold some weight, you know. And it's interesting when I said that, it's like immediately there was a connection. You know, I realized that he actually was able to open up and hear my perspective. So there's an art to listening, you guys. There's a science to this thing. It's amazing. It's just about taking turns in conversation. Like it's just funny because we have like, you guys, as you guys know, I'm a practicum student, PhD student, training to become a clinical psychologist. So I am currently seeing clients now, and we have these groups with clients all the time at my practicum site where I work at, teaching them social skills, the importance of taking turns and listening. But it's funny how, you know, even as adults who don't even have mental illness or any kind of intellectual disability, we struggle with this too, you know, just being patient. And it works like magic, y'all, because what could have been a 15-minute or 30-minute conversation easily extended itself to 3 hours because I listened. You know, just listen. And he listened to me. You know, it's like I listened to him, I let him express himself, and he had a lot to say, which I cannot share because I feel like it's just you know, a breach of confidentiality just to be sharing all the details that he shared with me. But it did help me to put things into perspective about why he sees things this way. It makes perfect sense. Like, it really makes perfect sense what he's saying. And being that he is Dr. Umar Johnson's father, he's kind of like the ringleader for the people who are in opposition to Dr. Umar Johnson. In a way, that's how I see it, because he knows more than anybody else knows about Dr. Umar Johnson, right? So initially, my initial reaction would be to just block the trolls. Like, they're saying, oh, what did Dr. Umar Johnson do? Just block them, right? But the fact that he said it and he's his father, like, I said, you know what, it has to be something more behind this, you know. And I want to really, I would rather get to the root of the problem and be able to work towards the real goal, work towards a common goal, as opposed to this back and forth fighting, because that's not healthy. You know, we can go back and forth all day and we're not going to get nowhere. So, excuse me. So it worked like magic, y'all. And I say we had an intense conversation. We talked about a lot of things, not just Dr. Umar Johnson, but we talked about, you know, just African American history in his country and the Black Panthers movement, just like a lot of different important figures, Marcus Garvey, Muhammad. We was talking about all kinds of stuff. He was just telling me a lot of different things, you know, putting things into perspective. And he said some things that really kind of broke my heart. You know, regarding his relationship with his son. And I say, he has a point. He brought up some really important things. And I have to really wrap this video up because I know our break is over in my class. So he basically, you know, especially with regards to the word coon, he was saying how coon is the equivalent to nigger. So if we wouldn't walk around calling each other nigger, even though we do, but I don't use that word nigger. He was like, why would you use the word coon? Because that's essentially saying the same thing. And and I told him, I tried to explain what the meaning is, how we use it today, right? It's basically referring to an African American person who bend over backwards trying to appease the quote unquote master. You know, just you cooning, you acting like a coon, you know. And it's usually at the expense of one's own identity, you know, one's own race. And He was like, no, still you don't use that word, because back then it was mainly a racial slur. It had nothing to do with a person's behavior and how a person was behaving. It was about the person's skin color, and that's just what they call you. If you were black, they just call you a coon regardless of how you behaved. And I say, wow, when you put it that way, you know what, it makes sense, you know. And so he was like, that's something that we have to stop within the conscious community. Like, we can't be going around calling each other coons, you know, because we basically have adapted this word that they use to put us down. It was a derogatory word, but we have adapted this phrase. That's a racial slur, and we basically have taken their position and started to attack each other. He said, it don't matter if you have a reason to call a person that. No matter if they're acting like that. It was like, it's something else, a way you can describe it. And I say, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And then he talked about just the question, the magical question. What is this lecturing doing, right? And I value it. So I don't take back anything I said, because what I said it from the heart, and I said it to support Dr. Umar Johnson's, the movement, basically, right? That Dr. Umar Johnson is a proponent of. This thing is so deep, y'all. It's so complicated because there's so many different sides to the story. There's so much going on within the conscious community. So it's really hard to pack it all here in 15 minutes. And I know I passed my time limit already, but he was saying basically it's important to ask that question. And he said it so many times that I got offended. I ain't gonna lie, I got offended, because he said it, and he didn't just say like, what is Dr. Umar Johnson doing? He was like, what are y'all doing? You know, he put us in this group, all of us in this group, right? All of us in the conscious community who are trying to effect change within the African American community. He put us in this group to say, what is the talking doing? What is the lecturing doing? And I'm like, damn. You know, it's interesting how that question can be so triggering. Like, it is a very triggering question. It's triggering for many different reasons. Number one, because it kind of assumes that we ain't doing nothing. Like, there's kind of a presumption within that statement or question to say that there's nothing being done. And so when he kept asking me that when we was talking, I basically responded saying, you can't see what we're doing. You can't see the change that Dr. Umar Johnson is bringing about. And then we just kept, like, every time I said that, we kept going in circles, right? Like, it wasn't moving the conversation forward. He was like, no, I want you to answer the question and tell me exactly what is that doing. And at the end of our 3-hour conversation, like, it dawned on me, you know, it dawned on me. And even after I was riding on the bus, I take the bus and the train to get to my school and my work, and it gave me some time to think about it. I said, you know what, it's a reason why everybody keeps asking this, you know, and maybe we can look at it from a different perspective. Maybe it's not that they're trying to destroy him and tear him down, but maybe it's just to motivate him to get this school open. We know the school costs a lot of money and everything, but his father was saying it doesn't even have to be a school. The initial project doesn't have to be a full-blown fledged school. It can simply be a storefront, but just give the people something, you know. And just, I think that's just, that question alone, yeah, it can motivate the leaders, the change makers, to do something that is more, I guess, tangible, so to speak. But I feel like you can't undermine the effect that Dr. Umar Johnson has caused within the African American community. I mean, words have power. You know, when you can shape a person's mind with words, that is magical. That is amazing. So we can't take away from what he's doing with his lectures. You know, I think the question really is a motivator to say that the people basically are saying they want this school. They're not really saying that he's not capable, though. They're just saying, bring this freaking, they want it. Obviously, the community is begging for a school. They begging. Now, in business, anybody familiar with business, when you have a market of people who are begging you for a service or product, that is the prime time to give it to them, because they begging you for it. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to miss on an opportunity, because either they're going to lose interest, you know, basically, you know, either that's just what's going to happen. They're going to start to lose interest. People want to not believe you. And so that kind of, like I said, I see it from both sides, because $700,000, $800,000 is not enough to open a school. It's just not. It costs a lot more money. But there are many different ways to look at this, which brings me to my next point. The whole idea of a conscious movement being couched into a business. I mean, some things that Jamal Johnson said kind of led me to believe that that's part of the problem, I think. Because if he's running it as okay, this is what it is. You have the movement, right? You have the overarching movement of the conscious community, right? The black movement, black power movement, Black Lives Matter. But then you have individuals within that movement, right? That do certain things, that they have certain interests. Shit, my classmate is texting me. That have certain interest or affinity towards that movement. And within their role, of course, it requires certain things, right? So if you, like say for Dr. Umar Johnson, he's doing his lectures, he has to make a living, you know? So he charges for his lectures, but you have some people say that he shouldn't charge, he should just give it to the Black community for free. You know what? I have to go, y'all. I'm so sorry, but we can continue this conversation. I don't know, maybe in my next break. Hopefully we'll get another one. But I just really want to bring the Black community together. The things that, like, my heart is kind of still heavy from my conversation I had with Dr. Umar Johnson's dad. You know, I really appreciate him taking the time out to have that conversation with me, because I feel like I am enlightened. Like, it's ironic that he says that, you know, education is not really that effective, but he educated me on something just having a conversation with him, and now I feel enlightened. It's opening my eyes, you know, especially when it comes to my approach and how I'm going to go about it moving forward, you know, with my responsibility towards the movement. So it matters. But let me go, because your girl ain't trying to lose no participation points. But I'm gonna catch you guys hopefully in my next break. I have to continue this this topic, this video, because, you know, I feel like we all have a role, and it's just a matter of us trying to put our differences behind us and be able to come together and work together. And Dr. Umar Johnson's dad, he has a beautiful heart, and I can tell that he does love his son, but there are some other things that have come up that really do need to be addressed. I don't know if it should be addressed in a video. You know, that's why I'm kind of hesitant on what I share here, because not everything is meant for social media. But I'm going to catch you guys later. Love you guys. Bye.